let's take you back to Sharpeville now for more on today's commemoration. We are crossing live now to SABC News reporter Natasha Phiri, who's at the Pelindaba Cemetery in Sharpeville in Vereeniging. Natasha, good morning. So I spoke to Samkele earlier on with one of the victims' family members, and I can see more people gathering there. Tell us about what's happening at the moment and, of course, what's to be expected as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sakina. You're quite right. Samkele was here earlier on speaking to one of the family members of the victims, and that was a government program. What you're seeing right now behind me are members of the PAC just congregating. Of course, they will start with their program, Sakina, and this is where we expect a wreath-laying ceremony. From there, the PAC members will be marching to the memorial site, and later on, the main program will commence at 11 a.m. at the Dam, and we expect PAC President Mzanele Nyonsa to deliver his key address. But it's quite interesting that this time around, members of other political parties, like the African Congress for Transformation's Ace Magashule will be here, and Azapo President Mr. Nelvis Krekema. But let's just probably engage here with the Secretary General of the PAC, Mr. Apapo. Mr. Apapo, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. I think you know very well, we spoke about this off air, that the Sharpeville Massacre Day has now been declared an international day for elimination of racism and all forms of intolerance, and this has been declared by the UN. Is this something you're satisfied as the PAC?
As the PAC, we definitely welcome it. We know that the Sharpeville Massacre became a turning point of the liberation struggle in this country. It was as a result of the Sharpeville Massacre that all political parties were banned in this country. It was as a result of the Sharpeville Massacre that we have Robben Island prison. It was as a result of Sharpeville Massacre that many people were killed in many other prisons in this country. So it indeed was a turning point. And the United Nations had indeed earlier declared that apartheid is crime against humanity. So this indeed is a benefiting honor that United Nations has decided accordingly.
Mr. Paul, you know you engage with families or the victims of the families, and some of them say that government and political parties only know them on the 21st of March. Other than this day, they feel as if they've forgotten.
You know, immediately after 1994, this day was not declared as a public holiday. Many people may not recall that. It was because of the PAC that we fought out that this day becomes a public holiday. Even today, the PAC is very steadfast that this day should remain Sharpeville Langa Day, so that we don't forget the victims, we don't forget the survivors, we don't forget people who were affected by this day. So the PAC has always commemorated with the families. It is the PAC that has always called for the TRC process to be open so that all the victims and survivors of this massacre are covered. The families, their loved ones are suffering. We know that, but as a political party, where there's not much that we can do. For instance, if you look at the gravesite here, the PAC is the one that comes here and paint and do some renovations. This place is so neglected. Millions were spent here, but you cannot show anything for that money which was spent here.
You look at, the number of lives that were lost. 69 people, unfortunately, lost their lives in 1960. And you look at the state of affairs right now. I mean, our country is marking 30 years of democracy this year. Did the victims die in vain?
It is not even 69. It is only 69 who are buried here. Other people went outside the country and died outside the country. And others were not buried here, but only 69 people were buried here. But indeed, you are correct that it would appear that their struggle was in vain. We still have serious hardships. There's a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of lack of service delivery. I'm sure you would have seen when you came through into Sharpeville, you've seen a lot of trucks and every other thing. That only happens when on this day. So our people are crying, and as the PAC, we are hearing their cry. That's why it is important when going to these elections that our people vote wisely and make sure that we remove this government of ANC and vote for PAC.